Hello, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Thanks for logging in today to attend our conference here with Agency Block this morning. I don't have any housekeeping for you guys. This conference is not CE, so you are free to comment in the question box, chat, ask questions, be as interactive as you need this morning with the Agency Block team. So today we're going to talk about CRM systems and all of that. And I want to introduce the team here from Agency Block. Thank you guys so much for popping on a Friday morning. I know it's early for you all, and for sponsoring our conference this morning. We have Sarah O'Brien, who has been with Agency Block since 2016 as the marketing campaign specialist. She's passionate about bringing education to the industry and Agency Block to all agents. And, you know, she's very humorous and might drop some random thoughts and humor into this meeting today. She's known for that. So welcome, Sarah. And then we have Steve, who served as sales manager at Agency Block, which is the #1 agency recommended management system for life and health agencies. He's been there since 2016, has been a sales professional for over 40 years, and has a passion for helping other professionals grow in their skills in sales, and has helped create and grow the Agency Block sales team. And in fact, I started working with Steve 6 years ago. So he was one of my first contacts with Agency Block, and I was one of his first contacts. So welcome, Steve. It's good to see you. And I'm going to turn it over to you guys to get started.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Sarah, do you have anything to say to kick us off, or?
Well, number one, make sure you guys are in the Wahoo conference and you've signed up for that. It looks like it's on the beach. I kind of regret that we're not going, Steve. I think we should go next year. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. I'm not afraid to interrupt Steve and give him any questions during the time, whether that's on his topic that he's on. If you have questions about anything, we're willing to talk about it. So we really like to be interactive as much as possible. And since this isn't CE, we've got that opportunity. So please feel free to chat with us throughout the box. But otherwise, I will let Steve roll.
All right, I am going to start by shutting off my webcam here so you can, I don't want to be a distraction. I have a tendency to move around a lot. I used to, in large groups, have my wife take my change away from me because I would stick my hands in my pockets and rattle my change during speaking. So I don't have to worry about that so much on virtual events, but I'll take off my cam and we'll get started here. So I know it's Friday, right? We're all worked a hard week and we're ready to go here. And so I am going to for sure not keep you over. And we may try to get a little bit done a little bit early here in case there are any questions or anything. But I think it's very, very important what we're talking about today. And I think we at Agency Block have seen testimony after testimony after testimony about using technology. And at the end of this presentation, for those of you who stick around, we're going to give you some tips if you're not using technology already on how to choose that technology wisely. One of the things that I want to talk about today is going to a little bit deeper level. We all know, well, at least, you know, in my conversations with people at Nahu and all over the place, we all know that technology is a good thing. If you're using paper files and spreadsheets and you're getting by, that's okay. But if you're really wanting to grow your business, then technology is a great place to do and store your business organization on. We're going to talk about the difference between a contact relationship management piece and what we call an agency management system today, because I think there's a big difference to your company of what you want to do. So let's agree that spreadsheets and paper, a little bit tricky when you're trying to get back to people and do some customer service. and that a platform may be the way to go. And so in order to start, I want to just put out some definitions for you. A lot of people are actually a little bit confused about customer relationship management tools as opposed to agency management tools. So when I think of a customer relationship management tool, I want you to think of a Rolodex, you know, the old Rolodex with the paper slips where you keep all your contacts, only this Rolodex has some rules behind it. There are some things you can do with that Rolodex that you may not be able to do with just the one that sits on your desk. So think of it as something to manage your relationships, almost like a Rolodex with rules. An agency management system is really built not only to manage your contacts, your prospects and customers and those areas, but really to manage your business. The agency management system manages that insurance agency along with your book of business. It's just used more effectively to run your operation, and I'll show you some reasons why we use the agency management system. Not only me, but we'll talk about some people in your business that do what you do. Now, I want to stress to you that if it's a CRM or an agency management system, either one, it's important to know that this can be on your servers, right? Which is what we call an on-premise software. So you could run this on your computer, or if you've got a networking system, you could run it on your network. Or it could be what we call software as a service, and that is in the cloud. And it's, you think of it more like leasing than owning. You know, all the revisions are done by the product manufacturer. All the changes are done. You don't have to run updates every once in a while. And software as a service has been more and more popular. I started out when software as a service was a little bit tricky because people thought you would catch the flu. I'm not talking about a virus. I'm talking about the flu off the internet, and we all know that's not true. So it's getting a little easier to use a software as a service because IT people are very, very comfortable with the safety and things like that on the internet. And for instance, most people will use something like Amazon Web Services, and that storage area is the most secure in the world. So we don't have to worry about that safety like we did with software as a service. So what are we talking about? Well, I hope some of you are runners, and you can see I've got my typical sneaker where I go out and walk around town and look good, and then I've got my running shoes here. Well, what's the difference? Let's compare them. Well, you know, I like that drizzle gray. It's a good look, and it's neutral. I can wear about anything with it. I can use it for cushion or standing. I will be at NAHU in June, at the end of June, and sometimes those conventions can be a little bit tricky because you're on your feet for 8 hours. And you know what? Tom's Drizzle Gray Heritage Canvas Men's Carlos sneaker is good to go. But I am a runner and have been a runner. I actually use Brooks myself, but I use Beast because I pronate quite a bit. And that's the real difference. Both are great sneakers, but they're just built for different purposes. And if your purpose is running, you're really looking for something that's specific to what you're doing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about value here as opposed to cost, because that's so important. And I've got a little story that I tell, although I've got a friend who doesn't know I tell it. And he is a runner also. And so the other day we're out running and we get done running and we're going home and we get to a convenience store and my buddy said, "Hey, stop in there. I want to get a Gatorade." Well, my buddy's a little frugal. If you asked his wife, she would be the first one to tell you that he kind of questions everything. And so I stopped at the convenience store. He went in, he got this Gatorade, and he was taking a big gulp because there was a need at the time, and Gatorade had the value he needed. And I said to my frugal friend, "Hey, you know what? I just saw 24 of those 20-ounce bottles in Walmart, same flavor, same everything, and they were $25.90. What did you just pay for that Gatorade?" And he told me, "I paid a couple bucks for the Gatorade." And man, I got on him. I said, "Why don't you be organized enough to go to Walmart and get a case of it?" And he said, "Steve, it's not the cost right now. It's the value of getting something in my system that I need for refreshment." And so I just wanted to share that with you because a lot of times we think about cost value and we really concentrate on the cost, but the cost is nothing if the value outweighs it. And I will tell you, you can get an AMS in this marketplace. I know because we sell an AMS, but I also know because we have vendors that we compete against that sell AMSs, and you should be able to get a good management system for under $100. And I know that most of you are probably paying more than that for a cell phone. So I just wanted to share with you, when you think about moving from spreadsheets and paper, don't think about the cost necessarily. Think about the value to your agency. So that's going to make a big difference. Excuse me. So why an agency management system as opposed to a CRM? I have nothing against CRMs, right? They are used to manage contacts. They can do life cycles of a prospect and client. They should be able to do tasks. So you can start your day and open up that CRM and see all your meetings for today and all your phone calls. And they should be able to issue reminders. So if I go out and set a meeting for next week, when I'm looking at my dashboard next week, that task should come up and remind me that I've got that to do on that day. So I can kind of schedule out those reminders on a CRM. But depending on your business, there are some times when a CRM can take some customization, because you know as well as I do that a manufacturer is not looking for the same things as a health and life agent, and therefore some fields just might have to be changed. The other thing that is very, very important is uh, they not only need some configuration, but they don't effectively track really anything but contacts. So it gets very, very hard when you're doing any customer service or anything and somebody calls you about a policy. Also, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but CRMs usually don't include commissions tools. I'll give you a good example. We have people that use Salesforce that also use Agency Block. They use Agency Block for commissions, but they're so in debt to Salesforce and so customized and so, they got a Salesforce guru. They are not it's going to take them a while to move their CRM over to Agency Block, because in an AMS, there is a CRM. As opposed to a CRM, an agency management system has that CRM included. So those people could move from Salesforce and do the same thing in Agency Block, but they're very reluctant because they've spent so much money and so forth. So an AMS is built on industry standards. And so in the life and health situation, you're talking about tracking groups, which I know Amanda does, or individuals policies, carriers, and agents, and it can include commissions depending on that vendor. Some have them and some do not, but most of your agency management systems for health and life do include commissions, I believe. So why is that important? Well, the key word I want you to really focus in on here is significant, because 44% see a significant productivity increase after implementing an agency management system or going from a CRM to an agency management system. So we can see that that productivity, according to 44% of the people, exists. And now, it often goes back to what are you trying to accomplish, right? I mean, if you're just tracking customers and prospects and you're not doing any customer service on the policy side, if you're not dealing with carriers, if somebody else is doing that for you, if you don't have any agents or anything, maybe that CRM fills the bill. But if it is your agency and you're growing your agency, or I'll tell you the other thing that people don't think about, if you have an agency and let's say you're getting a bit older, right, then you've got more value having that thing in an agency management system, your data, than in a CRM or Excel spreadsheets, because people can come in there and quickly see your processes through the agency management system. If you don't care who gets your book of business, and I certainly know that's the case in some, or if you're not growing your agency, I think there are other ways that an AMS, you can manage your agency besides an AMS. But if you are looking to grow, if you're looking to add value to your agency, there are ways that AMS can help you to do that, and ways that it is more efficient. So let's talk about 3 of those ways. The first way I want to talk about is specificity and specificity. Sorry, that's why I don't.
You're saying it better than me. I just skipped that word.
Yeah, I try to, but it just comes up in this preview so much. Anyway, it means specifically for you. If you are using an AMS, let's go back, less customizations, which means I can get in there and start to use that thing faster. I can train the people around me easier if I have people around me, and I can do less workarounds because I don't have to customize fields and do things like manual processing, because in an agency management system, that's all there for you. Most of the agencies that I talk to, and I just did North Carolina a couple days ago. We're going to NAHU in June, and I've got a couple podcasts next week. Most of the agencies that I talk to want to spend their time not customizing CRMs. They want to sell insurance. And here's the other thing for you people that have larger agencies. If you get something that is hard to use, your people are not going to be able to adapt, and you might have thrown your money down a hole, because if you don't get people to adapt, your agency is not going to be that specified for growth and things of that nature. So I want you to think about getting things done, ease of use when it comes to specificity, and making things easier for the people around you. It is very, very important, if you want to sell insurance and not work on CRMs, that you look at an agency management system. Let's talk about the second one. So totality is how do I get everything done in one database? How do I go in the morning, log into an AMS or a CRM, and not have to log out until nightfall. What do I need to do that I don't have to go to separate silos to do everything I need to do during the day? So that's where an AMS really comes into play. And we'll talk about managing policies and agents and carriers and things like that. But workflows are very, very important in an AMS, especially industry specified workflows. So let me give you an idea. If I'm doing Medicare and I have everybody's birthday in my database, and I have an AMS that has a workflow based on plus 65 or the specific age that a client or prospect turns, like 64, then I can let that workflow do my work for me. So every time a birthday comes up that the person turns 64, I just set a trigger in my workflow that says, you know what, 6 months from now, after that age of 64, I want you to send an email out to that client saying, hey, your health insurance is going to change. We need to chat before open enrollment. Then I'm going to send an action to one of my agents or myself if I'm the owner and say, hey, 2 weeks after that email, I want you to give this person a call if you haven't heard from them, and talk to them about moving to Medicare from their insurance policy. So it's specific to what you do. Renewals can be good workflows. Agents tell me all the time, Steve, I lost some people because I did not make enough contact with them during the year. Have your AMS send out a happy birthday, for goodness sakes. And a good AMS will not only send that email on their birthday and send an action to you to call them, but they will track that email individual in the individual's record, and you'll be able to click in there and find out if they opened that email or not, or if they clicked on any links. So you'll know if you're sending out happy birthday emails that you're getting your bang for a buck in that initial extra contact. Don't do that yourself. Let your AMS do that contact for you. It's going to be so important. And then, of course, renewal notices. Don't track that manually. Get an AMS that you know will track those renewals for you, and you will be much better off to do that.
And I'm just going to say in there, Steve, when you're saying, you know, like you need the contact, I know for me personally, and this is on the PNC side, but I have switched 3 times since I moved up to this new area, which was 8 years ago, because of lack of contact. I was getting renewal notices, but in the mail, but my insurance agent never talked to me. So I was like, you know, I think I need a new one. I want one that's going to help me along and make sure everything's covered. So, you know, especially my generation, and I'm gonna unfortunately say I'm a millennial right now. We're willing to jump a little bit more, so that contact is really important.
Yes, and I am willing to say I am not a millennial, nor will I ever be again. But I know what you mean, because the broker who does Agency Block's group health insurance actually helps me specifically with my Medicare. And the reason is because her and I talk all the time, not just about insurance, but she is a friend of mine. So more contacts, more retention. It's key. Here's the other thing that people don't think about, right? We do think about this quite a bit at Agency Block, and that is the customer experience. So I call you on the phone and I ask you what my renewal date is for my policy. And you say to me, just a second, let me put you on hold. I've got to go to my file and get your policy. No, you don't want to do that. You want to show those prospects and clients that you are the most efficient person in the world. And if you are tracking policy management on that AMS, you can just slide over to another tab, tell them the renewal's in January, and boom, you will be good to go. So managing policies, now this is if you're doing any kind of customer service, of course, at all. If they call the carrier, you know, if you've got them trained to call the carrier, you may not have to manage policies. So what about carriers? Well, there are things on the carrier side that I may want to take a look at. For instance, having data all in one database means all my individual contacts at the carrier in there. So I don't have to go to a Rolodex or up to the carrier site to get the contact relationships. I will keep them in my AMS under the carrier section. Any activities with the carrier, any kind of conversations that you're having with that carrier, it's good to track those. Notes and attachments can be for any kind of brochures or forms that you normally go to the carrier and get. Now you can store those on your AMS and you won't have to worry about going to the carrier as much to get that information if somebody calls. And then, of course, adding your carrier products is going to be a big deal. Most of us know that we have certain products we really love. If you can store those in your AMS and answer questions about them when they come up, you're better off just having that data in one database. I think the most important thing about having policies and carriers and agents in one database is reporting and analytics. Am I getting the bang for my buck off those products? Am I getting the bang for my buck in using that carrier? Those are all analytics and reports that you may want to take a look at in order to see how your business is doing and how much you can grow in the future with less time invested in that business. Agents, I don't know if you are an agent yourself, then it's good to have an agents tab, or if you have other agents, it gets good. And the reason is, if I am tracking myself or other agents, I want to be able to have, again, one database where I can put my E&O in and my contracts per carrier and my licenses per state. I will tell you that I was in the military. I went in the Navy when I was 17. If I had a nickel for every time somebody asked me for my DD-214, which is my discharge papers from the Navy, I would be a rich man. And do you think I know where to go and find that DD-214? It's just always keeping stuff in one database where you always know you can go and get that stuff is going to be key. So in the agent management side, key to have all that information in there. So industry specific features, that's the difference between a CRM and an agency management system. And if you want to grow your business or become more efficient or add value in case you ever sell that business, then I recommend that you would take a look at an AMS and see if it can help you with that totality. The other side is productivity. This is something we all know about, we all care about. Work smarter, not harder, is the old saying. And when it comes to productivity, again, having all that stuff in one database is so very important. Automating your processes are going to be important, so you don't have to spend that time doing things that your AMS could do for you. Have I got a new vision product that I want to mass email all my customers that have dental insurance? Because we know if they're using dental insurance from you, that's like low-hanging fruit for vision. 85% of the people who buy that vision insurance are going to come back to the broker that they have dental or health for. So having those email mass marketing pieces when you have a good product or when something changes in the industry, it's going to be very important. You can get those on an AMS. Reporting and analytics, I can just stress this not enough. If you want to know exactly what you're doing, I give you an idea, and you may have this in a CRM. So sales pipeline, very, very important. I'm tracking all the stages my prospects are in before they become clients, and I'm tracking the amount of revenue I'm going to make. So at the end of the year, I can figure out what my expenses are and what I can pay people to grow my business. But having that pipeline in one place where you can run reports on it and see how long things stay in stages so you can predict and analyze next year's open enrollment is just key. And then commissions management, and we won't talk about that much today, but I will tell you that I get a horror story every other week about missed commissions. People losing money because the carriers, not maliciously, of course, but because they're big and they make mistakes, not paying them for policies. That is key. And in most agency management systems, you can get that commissions tracking. You want to make sure that they can track things like missed commissions too, and also that it is an efficient way to track commissions, because you don't want to track commissions on spreadsheets, buy an AMS and find out it's taking you more time than it was on the spreadsheets. So you know how this goes. I'm Steve Ogden. I'm with Agency Block. So really, who cares what I say? I mean, I'm kind of partial to agency management systems. So let's look at what some people say who move from generic products to industry-specific products. Now, I want you to take this 90%, and I want those of you who are saying, Steve, I don't have 6 employees, I have 1 employee, I'm the only agent, right? I specialize in Medicare. All I want you to do is take that 85% there and cut it. I don't care if it's 30%, 40%. Time processing is going to be huge. And that's in commissions. 90% less time locating and documenting information. You've heard the old saying, right? That 85% of my time is spent looking for information and 15% of my time is spent actually reading the content of that information. So very important. And with an AMS, you can put everything in one place so you'll have it conveniently and save time. And then these guys save 1 day each week on commission reports and updating client files. So, I mean, if you don't have some of those things, let's talk about 50% less time in generating and running reports. You all should be running reports. This is an agency management system. Make sure you're doing the right things, being with the right carriers, all that stuff. Now, these guys are FMO, IMO, Medicare, right? 75% time less spent on commissions. So we know there's efficiencies in commissions. The question is, are you tracking that yourself and doing a good job of it? Or do you feel comfortable you're not missing any commissions? Because you don't necessarily have to have commissions to have a good agency management system. So these guys save over $50,000 annually. Again, they've got 100+ agents. So if you're in that category, you can see here's the most important thing to me: grown their book of business by 40%. All of you can do that with an AMS. I believe it. And then you've got the people that said, you know what, my data got all messed up, and it was nice to put clean data in an industry specific system. So I don't have a lot of stuff I don't need in that data, things that distract me at times. So we're talking about 750,000 activities created in automated workflow to get agents up and running quickly. That is just key to me in being able to be efficient in managing that agency. And we're talking about being able to tie policy data and individuals in the same place. Very, very key to answering questions and trying to be efficient when your client calls and wants to know anything. So those are kind of areas where not me per se, but other people have shown why changing from a generic to an industry specific AMS has been very helpful to them. Now, I told you we were going to kind of partner with you if you're using spreadsheets or paper or Zoho or some of the specific CRMs. And you say to me, yeah, Steve, but what a pain. I got to go looking for that thing. Can you help me out there? Well, we can, I think. So we're talking about finding the right AMS for your agency. And it's very, very important, I think, in this day and age to have cloud-based access. Why do I say that? Well, if I have a website and I have a lead form on my website, and some of you do, where that client comes or prospect comes into your website and fills out first name, last name, email address, and phone number and says to you, I am looking for health or life insurance. With a cloud-based system, I can set up a workflow so as soon as that information comes in, it builds that individual or group in my AMS, and I can shoot out an email very quickly to that prospect immediately and say, hey, thanks for coming into my website. I can pick up their first name and your first name. Thanks for coming into my website. We can answer all your insurance questions. You don't have to go to another website, and we'll have somebody in touch with you shortly. Now, if Amanda is on the road and there's nobody else looking at that website, if she's got her email alerts turned on, she's actually going to get an email from that AMS with a link to that activity in the AMS where she can go in there and start to work that thing from the road. That is why cloud-based access is so important. And what was the event we had 3 years ago that made us know how strong cloud-based access was? It was a little pandemic called COVID. And people were not able to go and get to their network to use softwares unless they had VPNs, and then they had to know technology and things like that. So cloud-based access is key. Automated backup in that cloud-based system. If you are in Virginia and you have your data backed up on Amazon Web Services, it's backed up in several time locations in the United States. So it doesn't matter if you have a tornado or what, God forbid. If I have internet access, I can get a hold of that data because it's backed up in more regions than just my region. Data and file storage. Make sure when you are picking up an AMS that there is unlimited data and file storage. Don't let them nitpick you and say, you know, you got 1 gig of file storage or you can do 50,000 accounts or whatever. You want unlimited data and file storage. And then who do they partner with? I happen to know clients that use things like Employee Navigator, things like Ease. They use web services like Target and things like that. You want to make sure that if Target sells you a set of leads, that they can take that data and move it into your AMS, so you do not have to do that. Or if you enroll somebody on Ease's platform or Employee Navigator's platform, that you know yourself that you can move that data into your AMS without any problems, because one, you don't want to rekey it twice if you don't have to, and two, it just avoids making changes to your enrollment system that don't get done in your AMS. So any kind of third-party integrations are going to be important to you. We just added Zapier not long ago, and some of the testimonies we had about you know, integrating with Candidly and Rocket referrals and Facebook ads and all those things has just been enormous just by adding Zapier to our AMS. So third-party integrations are important. What else? Well, I'll tell you what else is important, and that's finding the people behind the product. You want to use LinkedIn, you want to use Google, you want to use all those tools that you have available to find your new AMS. You do not want to buy an AMS from two guys working in a garage. It just doesn't work very well when you have problems that you need to get a hold of somebody in customer service and ask. You don't want tickets. You don't want, we'll call you back in 42 hours. You want your business to run smoothly. So very, very important to know the people behind that product. Listen, being small is sometimes an asset and sometimes liability, but guess what? So is being a monster company where they don't use their resources to make the product that you use more accessible and less antiquated. So you got to make sure they're not too big, not too small. You want the right people behind that product. Data migration. Can't stress this enough. Why? Because it's your data and you need to own that data, and you need to make sure whoever you do business with knows that that's your data. How do I get it in there? How do I get it out of there? Can I get help getting it in and out of there? That's all very important to you. You do not want to be captive to an AMS who holds your data. Service, again, it's key. I have nothing against people that are small companies. I think it's great that they're entrepreneurs, but you want people to answer the phone when you call and give you the right information so you can keep your business going. Here's where, again, industry specific comes into place, and that is being able to get the right enhancements you want, making sure that anytime the software is enhanced, that it's going to be beneficial to you as a life and health agent. Amanda and I were talking a bit about the before the presentation, and we have come out with the brokerage compensation disclosure on the group side, and that's going to be very, very important for our groups to be able to have that form right in Agency Block and be able to print a report of who they need to send that form to and what needs to be in that form. So very, very important. We talked about security, but man, oh man, you want to make sure that it's a good cloud system like Amazon Web Services, that the AMS itself has the data encrypted at rest and in transit. You may want to use two-user authentication. Your data is healthcare. It's very, very valuable to you. So make sure that you have the right security, and make sure that enhancements on that system are based on health and life feedback. We do not want people in this business making decisions what our product roadmap is going to be. We want people like you telling us what you need. And then, of course, educational resources. This is kind of a homer for us because we do a lot of webinars, we do a lot of educational seminars, we do a lot of podcasts, we do a lot of things. But it just shows you that you want people behind the product that understand your industry. That is going to be very key for any kind of maintenance and enhancements that you want to do. Now, I wanted to leave a little bit of time for questions. I think that's important in case we have any questions. If we don't have any questions, that's fine. I don't want Sarah making up stuff to try to stump me. That's not where we're at. So I'll just open it up. And if Amanda or Sarah have any questions on their mind, I'd love to answer them for you.
Yeah. Well, it's too early Central Time for me to make up that many questions, Steve. So we're not going to do that today. But if you want to look in your chat panel, I sent you some content that you could share with the group. I'm going to send out right now. He's going to send you out the pretty much it's a way if you don't always digest the verbal part of it. We also have it in writing, so he's going to send you the agency's guide to understanding an AMS versus a CRM. So it kind of just gives you an outline and a little bit more links to look into the difference between the two. And then the other one is what is an agency management system, and it does go to a little bit more depth of that as well. Are you seeing those, Steve?
I am seeing those.
Okay, can you send that out to the whole audience for me? See, we're stumping Steve
Maybe.
early this morning. Technology outside of an AMS is not always his strength.
I can send it out for you guys if you want to send it over to me.
Okay. Steve, give her presenter access. She might have her technology of the GoToWebinar down a little bit more. But I'm not seeing questions come in right now, but I do want to, kind of put in a little plug. Steve will be at NAHU, so if you're attending NAHU, look for him. He's a speaker on the Monday morning, and I'm sure he will be happy to talk to you if you're there in attendance. Just go on up and chit chat with him. And yeah, he also has been doing some webinars with NAHU and a podcast, so it's always good content to go ahead and look for those as well, especially on the Broker Disclosure Act. That's kind of been a thorn a little bit for agents trying to figure out how to balance that and everything like that. So we have had somebody on our team that's been using, I think, NAHU's resources as a huge resource thing for her as well during this time to do it. So that's definitely NAHU's library on the broker comp would be a great place to look, but she also has done some podcasts, and Steve and her did a webinar talking about it as well. So good content out there in the NAHU, and we'd be happy to join you guys again over at Vahu if you're willing to have us, Amanda.
I love it. I will just plug in that Steve is going to be doing his chat at NAHU on workflow tools, and for our agency, especially during the pandemic, we were able to really improve productivity, communication, and all of that as we had more employees working from home versus the office. And so those workflow tools within the system are and have been very critical to our agency. So thank you guys so much for taking time to log into the conference this morning. I'm going to send these handouts into the group email that I sent to everyone before the conference started. So you guys will have those in your inboxes here this morning. And if anyone ever has any questions about Agency Block, you're always free to call me or text me and ask me. And Sarah and Steve are great to work with as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.